أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We are all welcome to our دروس البلاغة explanation. Inshallah, we look at الاستعارة. I think from our previous lesson we had come to under al-majaz. We had learned that the علاقة مجازية between الكلمة المستخدمة والمعنى المراد أو المعنى الأصلي للكلمة المستخدمة والمعنى المراد. The علاقة, if it is علاقة بلاغية, if it is علاقة المشابهة, then we say that it is استعارة. But then if that علاقة مجازية is any other thing not mushabaha, then we say that okay. Then we have majaz mursal, which is also a main topic on its own. So we are going to look at the isti'ara, its types, and whatever is there to see under isti'ara. And then when we say isti'ara, basically what we mean and in loga is to borrow. Jamil, to borrow. So I borrow a word, asset, for a human. Even though that's not the original meaning, I just go and borrow it and give it to a human. Jamil, I borrow light and give it to guidance. So instead of saying guidance, then I say light. So that is basically the concept of isti'ara here. It says that al-isti'aratu, when we say al-isti'ara, hiya majazun alaqatuhu al-mushabaha. It is majaz. And in majaz, as we said, using a kalima fi ghayri ma wudi'a lahu. لعلاقة بين المعنى الأصلي للكلمة والمعنى المراد أو المعنى المجازي. So if that علاقة is علاقة مشابهة, as we explained, then we say that it is استعارة. كقوله تعالى كتاب أنزلناه إليك لتخرج الناس من الظلمات إلى النور. It says كتاب, a book, أنزلناه إليك, that we have revealed to you, لتخرج الناس, so that you take people من الظلمات, out of darkness, إلى النور, to light. But let's all ask ourselves, do we need book to take people out of darkness to light? Literally, no. What we need will be a torchlight, a lamp. So here the expressions az-zulumat here is not really the az-zulumat that is intended. Likewise, an-nur here is not really light that is intended. What is intended with az-zulumat is ad-dalal. And then what is intended with an-nur is al-hidayah or al-huda. Jamil. So he says that ay min ad-dalali ila al-huda, ay litukhrij an-nasa min ad-dalali ila al-huda. It is a book we have revealed to you, which is the Quran, so that you guide people from darkness into the light. Bimana, guide people from misguidance into guidance. So here we've borrowed the words zulmat and nur for dalal and huda respectively. And then you could see that this usage of zulmat and nur, we've used them because of the alaqatul mushabaha bayna al-ithnain. So you can see that the ma'na al-hakiki for zulmat is darkness. Likewise, misguidance, when you look at it, misguidance has something of not helping you to reach your desired destination. So somebody that is in darkness is just like somebody that is in misguidance, because they two look alike in the fact that they can't get to their destination. And the nur and also the huda also is the fact that when somebody is in light, they see clearly, they know where they are headed to, just like when somebody is rightly guided. So he says that فَقَدْ أُسْتُعْمِلَتِ الظُّلُمَاتُ وَالنُّورُ فِي غَيْرِ مَعَنَاهُمَا الْحَقِيقِي. We've used zulmat and nur in a meaning other than the original meaning. وَالْعَلَاقَةُ, and the relationship between the usage of zulmat for ad-dalal and also an-nur for al-huda is the mushabah, the similarity between them. Al-mushabahatu bayna ad-dalali wal-zalam wal-huda wal-nur. And then the qarina, as we said, there should be a qarina, something that will push your mind from the original meaning. The qarina is here is ma qabla dhalik, ay ma dhukira qabla dhalik. It has been mentioned that kitabun anzalnahu, right? Kitabun anzalnahu, a book that we have sent down. Sorry. A book that we have sent down. So the moment you see the book, you know that we are not talking about guidance. We are not talking about going through darkness literally, right? And using the book as a torchlight. No. The moment you see that, you know that, okay, then kitabun anzalnahu ilayka litukhrij an-nas. Then this is the qarina that makes me understand that, okay, then the zulmat is the ad-dalal and an-nur is al-huda. Jamil. So now we come to says وَيُقَالُ فِي إِجْرَائِهَا, yani in the bayan of this isti'ara that you've seen in, or the ayah that you've just seen right now, we say that شُبِّهَتِ الضَّلَالَةُ بِالظُّلْمَةِ بِجَامِعِ عَدَمِ الْإِهْتِدَاءِ فِي كُلِّ. As I explained, what brings the two together is the fact that in both of them you are not guided. If you are in darkness, you don't see the right path. If you are misguided, you don't see the right path. واستعير اللفظ الدال على المشبه به وهو الظلمة للمشبه وهو الضلالة. Now look at something here. In the ayah that we've just read, the az-zulmat here is the mushabbahu bihi. The actual thing that we intend is the what? Al-huda. Az-zulmat is the ad-dalal. So litukhrij an-nas min ad-dalal. That is the original, right? And we've compared ad-dalal to az-zulmat. So az-zulmat here is the mushabbah bihi. The mushabbahun is the ad-dalal. Likewise, an-nur is the mushabbah bihi, and the mushabbah is al-huda. Jamil. So he says that واستعير اللفظ الدال على المشبه به وهو الظلمة للمشبه وهو الضلال. So the الظلمة is the mushabbah bihi, and then al-mushabbah is the ad-dalala, misguidance. على طريق الاستعارة التصريحية الأصلية. So here he further explains, which we will understand, the isti'ara tasrihiyya, the isti'ara tasrihiyya al-asliya. Inshallah, we will see them clearly defined under the types that we are going to look at. It says وَأَصْلُ الْإِسْتِعَارَةِ تَشْبِيهٌ هُزِفَ أَحَدُ طَرَفَيْهِ وَوَجْهُ شَبَهِهِ وَأَدَاتُهُ. Says وَأَصْلُ الْإِسْتِعَارَةِ, the root of isti'ara is تشبيه هُزِفَ أَحَدُ طَرَفَيْهِ وَوَجْهُ شَبَهِ وَأَدَاتُهُ. So if you look at the sorry, a second. So if you look at what we just saw, kitabun anzalnahu ilayka litukhrij an-nas min az-zulumati, of course there is a tashbih of ad-dalala with az-zulumat, right? And then al-huda with nur. But then here we wouldn't say لتخرج الناس من الضلالة التي هي كالظلمات في عدم الاهتداء and all that. No, the tashbih, we take out the adatu tashbih, we take out the wajhu shabah, we don't need it, and we take out one of the pieces of the tashbih. You remember at tashbih al-baligh, al-waladu or al-rajulu kal-asadi fi shaja'a, الرجل مشبه كيف أداة التشبيه الأسدي مشبه به في الشجاعة وجه الشبه. Now if you take out the وجه الشبه, you take out the ada and you say الرجل أسد. You've done تشبيه بليغ, right? When you take out the two, you've done تشبيه. When you take out the one of the طرفي تشبيه, that is a مشبه and a مشبه به, the moment you take out one, you've done استعارة. So here you could see that we just mentioned ظلمات, but you know in your mind we are talking about الضلالة. So there is a تشبيه, but the adat is not there, the مشبه is not there, we only leave the مشبه به there. جميل. And then he says والمشبه يسمى عفوا, I think a lot has been skipped. Says وأصل الاستعارة تشبيه هزف أحد طرفيه ووجه شبهه وأداته, as we clearly explained. جميل. And then we come to, it says والمشبه يسمى مستعارا له. The mushabbahu that is left, the mushabbahu in the isti'ara is called musta'ara lahu. أي استعرنا هذه الكلمة هذه الكلمة أو استعرنا هذه الكلمة لهذا المعنى. We borrowed this word for this meaning. So the original thing that you are comparing, the new word you have borrowed to, is the mushabbah. So the mushabbah in the isti'ara is called musta'ara lahu, and the mushabbah bihi is called musta'aran minhu. ففي هذا المثال المستعار له هو الضلال. The مستعار له, which is the الضلال, misguidance. So we've borrowed the الظلمات. جميل. المستعار منه, which is the الظلمات, we've borrowed it for المستعار له, which is الضلال. Likewise, we've borrowed al-nur, which is the al-musta'ar minhu, for the al-musta'ar lahu, which is al-huda. So he says al-musta'ar lahu huwa al-dalal wal-huda, wal-musta'ar minhu huwa ma'na al-zalam. وَالنُّورِ وَلَفْظُ الظُّلُمَاتِ وَالنُّورِ يُسَمَّى مُسْتَعَارًا. And the word itself, the wordings, they are called musta'ar. Jamil. So what is he clarifying here? There is something little I need to clarify here. In the musta'ar minhu, he says that it is the meaning of the zalam, right? Ma'ana zalam wa nur. So the meanings, the zalam, we've taken it because of the meaning in it. As the scholars, they say, al-alfazu qawalibul ma'ani. Words, they are the containers of meanings. So it is the meaning that is the musta'ar minhu, right? The word itself, which is the az-zalam or az-zulmat and an-nur, the word itself is called musta'ar. It is what we have borrowed. Ism al-maf'ul. It is the musta'ar, the what we've borrowed. Jamil. Now, any of this part that is not clear, please do well to ask. So, refreshing all this before we get into the types. I'm sure you have your pen or something. In the at-tashbih, we have 4 parts, right? The mushabbah, the mushabbah bihi, which is the 2 parts, tarafay tashbih, mushabbah, mushabbah bihi. And then we have the adatu tashbih, right? And then we have the wajhu shabah, 4 parts making up the complete tashbih. Now you can take out 2 parts, adatu shabah, or adatu tashbih, and then the wajhu shabah. You can take the 2 parts out, still you have your tashbih. So you are just left with the al-mushabbahu and the al-mushabbahu bihi. But the moment you drop one of the tarafay tashbih, you fall into isti'ara. So with isti'ara, you are just mentioning one part of the tashbih, one of the tarafay tashbih. But the siyak of the sentence will point us to know that you are comparing. You are literally using this word in place of that word because of these similarities between them, which all you will not mention. And then we are telling you that the word you've borrowed for this, the other thing you didn't mention. So let me say, Ra'aytul asada ala al-mimbar. So here I don't tell you Ra'aytul imama kal asadi fil kalami or something like, no. Ra'aytul asada ala al-mimbar. I saw a lion on the mimbar. Now the asad word itself, asad, the huruf, is the musta'ar. The meaning of the asad here, which is the lion that I'm comparing to the person of the imam, is what we call the musta'ar minhu. Ay ma'na al-asad, that is the musta'ar minhu. And then the imam that I am comparing the al-musta'ar minhu to is the al-musta'ar lahu. Jamil. With this understood, inshallah, we go into the classifications of at-tashbih. Says وتنقسم classifications of isti'ara, sorry. Says وتنقسم الاستعارة باعتبار ما يذكر من الطرفين. We've just told you that isti'ara is you taking off one of the tarfay tashbih, which is either you drop the al-mushabbah or you drop the al-mushabbah bihi and leave one. Based on which one you leave, we have the name of that particular type of tashbih. So, if you leave the al-mushabbah bihi, we call it al-isti'ara at-tasrihiyya. You saw it up there. I told you to come down. You see it again. When you mention just the al-mushabbah bihi and you drop the al-mushabbah, just as I said, ra'aytul asad ala al-mimbar. Asad here is the mushabbah bihi. The mushabbah is the imam. So here I've mentioned أنا صرحت بلفظ الأسد الذي هو المشبه به في كلامي. In this case I call it الاستعارة التصريحية. So in the categorization they will tell you that it is categorized into مصرحة. That is الاستعارة التصريحية. وهي ما صرح فيها بلفظ المشبه به كما في قوله البسيط. So where the مشبه به is mentioned, we call it استعارة تصريحية. So in the abiyat that we saw, I think we saw it before. كأنما تبسم عن لؤلؤ, right? We saw a bait like that, and I told you it is from the maqama. That is the maqama as al-maqamatu as-san'aniyya, from the al-maqamat al-hariri. You know there are 50 assemblies, yani 50 maqama. There are 50 stories in the maqamat al-hariri. In one of them, titled Al-Maqamat As-San'aniyya, this abiyat came in. And I think it was a challenge to Abu Zayd, the main character of the story, to bring out a verse of poem that is like this, on this particular meter and this beauty, Jamil. So I think they challenged him. So in the same maqama that we read, the كأنما تبسم عن لؤلؤ منضد أو برد أو أقاه, in that same maqama, this bait comes. Says فأمطرت, so they challenge him to bring a bait like this. فأمطرت لؤلؤا من نرجس وسقت وردا وقد وعدت على الأناب بالبرد. أمطرت لؤلؤا من نرجس وسقت وردا وعضت على الأناب بالبرد. None of the words here means what it means. Everything you see here is استعارة. يعني استعرنا هذه الكلمات كلها لمعاني غير موجودة هنا، أو للألفاظ غير موجودة، أو للمستعار له غير موجودة هنا. So look at it. It's talking about tears, right, falling from the eyes, running over the cheeks, and then biting with the teeth the hand. So a symbol of regret or a symbol of pain or something like that, like me doing like this and tears falling from my eyes. That is the picture here. So when he says فَأَمْطَرَتْ لُؤْلُؤًا, لُؤْلُؤًا بمعنى دموع, the tears. Min narjisin, narcissus, right? I don't know how you pronounce it, but narcissus is a type of flower, but here he used the narjis to represent the eye. So lu'lu for the dumu, narjis for the al-ain, and then wasaqat wardan. Wardan here he uses it for the cheek, khudud, as is mentioned right here. So the tears fell from the eyes, which is there represented by narjis, saqat wardan, and it irrigated a flower, the flower that is the cheek, beautiful cheeks, right, reddish. Wa'addat, to bite on, addat ala, to bite on, al-unnabi, al-unnabi, we saw it before, we said it's jujube, right, it's a fruit or something, Jujube, you see it like that, small. It's like date something. So, but then here is not the jujube. He's comparing the unmula, right? How do they even call this place in English? The fingertip, right? It's comparing the fingertip to the unnab. So al-barad here is also the athanaya, the teeth, the asnan, but specifically this one's in front. So the teeth biting on an unnab, which is the fingertip. Everything here is not what it is. Lu'lu'an is borrowed for the dumu. Narjis borrowed for uyun. Wardan borrowed for al-hudud. And then unnab borrowed for al-anamil. Barad borrowed for al-asnan. Barad originally, as we saw, is hailstone, that whitish kind of thing. So just representing that the teeth is white, biting on a finger that has been makhdub. How do they even say it? Astaghfirullah. They put some henna or something like that on it. So just representing a beautiful woman with some nice eyes, with kohl, crying and the tears passing on her reddish cheeks, with hair biting on her painted fingertips, with some beautiful teeth. See how it is. فقد استعار اللؤلؤ والنرجس والورد والعناب والبرد للدموع والعيون والخدود والأنامل والأسنان. And so here the lu'lu is the mushabbah bihi, narjis mushabbah bihi, even the saqat and the amtarat. Wardan is mushabbah bihi, al-unnab is mushabbah bihi, al-barad is mushabbah bihi. So in this abiyat, it is the mushabbah bihi that is mentioned. So we say it is al-isti'ara at-tasrihiyya. The second is you have an isti'ara where the mushabbah bihi is not mentioned. It is the mushabbah that is mentioned. But look at it. If you mention the mushabbah, you want to compare my hand to something, you mention my hand. You don't mention the mushabbah bihi, right? You don't mention the mushabbah bihi. And you don't mention anything about the mushabbah bihi at well, then the comparison doesn't even occur. So definitely when you do the hazf of the mushabbah bihi, you have to keep some signs of it in the jumla, right? And that kind of tashbih, we call it tashbih, that kind of isti'ara, we call it isti'ara makniyatun. Isti'aratun makniyatun. وهي ما هزف فيها المشبه به ورمز إليه بشيء من لوازمه. So here the mushabbah bihi is not mentioned, it's omitted. But then you keep symbols of it. رمز إليه بمعنى you give symbols of it. Something that you know is known for this particular mushabbah bihi. Like the lion, you can use any of the sifat of the lion. Any tashbih you want to do, the sun, you just keep something about the sun in the jumla, but you won't mention it. In that case, we call it tashbih isti'ara makniyya. كقوله تعالى واخفض لهما جناح الذل من الرحمة. Janah, as we know, is wings, right? What is the wings of humility? Al-dhul here, let's say humility. Let's represent it with humility. What is the janah al-dhul here? A second. Jamil. So basically you find the translators say make yourself submissive, but then here we need it for balagha, so we translate it literally. Yani, and اخفض mana drop, اخفض mana lower. That's why we have our makhfud from majrur. Yani واخفض لهما, yani drop down for the two of them, your parents, جناح الذل, the wings of submissiveness. So you drop your wings, symbol of being submissive, min al-rahma, of due to mercy or of mercy. Thus, فقد استعار الطائر للذل. Bird was used here to represent al-dhul, which is submissiveness, right? Bird was used to represent submissiveness here. But where is the bird? The bird isn't mentioned. What is mentioned? It says ثم حذفه the bird has been mahzuf. وَدَلَّ عَلَيْهِ بِشَيْءٍ مِّن لَوَازِمِهِ وَهُوَ الْجَنَاحِ. But then you keep something of the lawazim, things that are definitely known of birds, which is wings, was kept there. It says وَحْفِدْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الظُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ. So comparing the your submissiveness to the bird, but the bird is not mentioned. We are comparing Azul to the Ta'ir, but the Ta'ir is not mentioned. Is Janah is mentioned. Comparing submissiveness to the bird, but then the bird isn't mentioned, the wings of the bird is mentioned. In this case, we call it Isti'ara Makniya. And then there is an attachment here. It says, وَإِثْبَاتُ الْجَنَاحِ لِلذُّلِّ. Here, making it sound like Janah al-Dhulli, like the wings of submissiveness, as if submissiveness has wings. It doesn't have. Now, linking this Janah, wings, to submissiveness here, this kind of relationship, we call it Isti'ara Takhyiliya. So, Isti'ara Takhyiliya falls under the Isti'ara Makniya. Right? Like I say, the wheels of time, as we all say it, the wheels of time, right? Ajalatu Sa'a. Time doesn't have wheels, but you are comparing time here. When you say the wheels of time, you are comparing time to a car or something that moves on wheels, but you don't mention the thing, you mention the wheels of that thing. You just leave the wheels there. This relationship between the wheels and the time is called Isti'aratan Takhyiliya. It's from Khayal, basically, if you put it that way. Jamil. So that is based on Taqsim, based on which of the Tarafay is mentioned. Tarafay Shabah is mentioned. So وَتَنْقَسِمُ الْإِسْتِعَارَةُ بِاعْتِبَارِ اللَّفْظِ الْمُسْتَعَارِ. The word itself that you've borrowed also gives classification to the Isti'ara. First one is Asliya, and the second we have Taba'iyya. Quickly, let me throw some light so that we understand it easily. Words as we have words that are Jamid. Some words, they are not derived from anything. And we have words that are derivatives. So we have words that are, a word is Jamid and a word that is Mushtaqun. Mushtaqun bimana like Ism al-Fa'il, Ism al-Maf'ul, Sifat Mushabbah bihi, Sifat Mushabbah. We have something like Ism al-Makan, Ism al-Zaman, Ism al-Ala. These are mushtaqat. And we have words that are jamid. Jamil. So look at it here. Asliya, Isti'ara Asliya is done when the word that is borrowed is jamid. It's a static noun. وهي ما كان فيها المستعار اسما غير مشتق. When you have the musta'ar, the word you've borrowed, is not a derivative. كاستعارة الظلام, الضلال, والنور, والهدى. These words, you can't say they are from this masdar, and so they are this. An-nur is from this masdar. Ad-dalal is from this. You can't say that. So this kind of isti'ara, we call it isti'ara asliya. Jamil. So if you realize up there, when they mentioned, sorry, let me take you back. I told you that we would be seeing them, where he mentioned that على طريق الاستعارة التصريحية الأصلية. So you now know that الاستعارة التصريحية is the one where the مشبه به is mentioned, right? And then الاستعارة الأصلية is the one where the word, the مستعار, the المشبه به that is mentioned is a word that is jamid, not mushtaq, right? So that is well cleared now. Jamil. So that is that with the al-isti'ara al-asliya. And then al-makniya, al-taba'iyya, as we've already said, وَهِيَ مَا كَانَ فِيهَا الْمُسْتَعَارُ فِعْلًا أَوْ حَرْفًا أَوْ اسْمًا مُشْتَقًا. So when you have the musta'ar, which is the word that you are borrowing, being a fi'l or a harf or ism mushtaq, a derivative noun. So sometimes the tashbih is done between verbs. Sometimes the tashbih is done with harf. Sometimes the tashbih is done with ism mushtaq. Now whichever of them is استعرت فعلا للمعنى, استعرت حرفا للمعنى, استعرت اسما مشتقا للمعنى, إذن هذا استعارة تبعية. جميل. لحظة. Jamil. So he says that Nahu rakiba fulanun katifay garimihi. This person rode on the shoulders of his adversary, or rode on the shoulders of his debtor. Gharim can come for the meaning of Madin. Gharim can come for the meaning of an opponent. Right? So this so and so rode, rakiba, to ride on, right? Katif, the shoulder. So he rode on the shoulders of his adversary, or he rode on the shoulders of his debtor. Why is he using rode to ride on? Rakiba. How is he using that for this meaning? Yani he borrowed the word rakiba for lazama, yani to stick by. Yani the person was stuck with his debtor or stuck with his adversary. He was matching him boot for boot. Jamil. So here you can see that a verb has been borrowed for another meaning. So we call it isti'ara taba'iyya. Ay lazamahu mulazamatan shadidan, yani he stuck by him severely. وقوله تعالى أولئك على هدى من ربهم. Those are the ones who are, look at the ala, hudan. It's as if guidance is something like this and they are on top of it. Ala hudan min rabbihim. They are on top of guidance. So the usage of the harf jar, ala, here is to show isti'la. Yani tamakkanu min al-hidayah. They are so into the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ay tamakkanu min al-husuli ala al-hidayati tamma. And they are very engrossed in the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the meaning that this ala alone gives. I always tell you that learning Balāgha, you start seeing the Quran more different, right? If you have Balāgha, ulaika ala bimana isti'la, right? If you look at the ma'ani huruf al-jar, you see that ala yadullu ala isti'la. So it's as if they are on top of, just as we say somebody is on top of affairs, bimana, he knows everything very well. Jamil. Then he says, for example, وَلَا إِنَّ تَقْتُ بِشُكْرِ بِرِّكَ مُفْصِحًا فَلِسَانُ حَالِي بِالشِّكَايَةِ أَنْتَقُ. Says, وَلَا إِنَّ تَقْتُ بِشُكْرِ بِرِّكَ. If I pronounce the thanks or the gratitude of your obedience, مُفْصِحًا, saying it clearly for everybody to hear. فَلِسَانُ حَالِي, the tongue of my condition, بِالشِّكَايَةِ, with complaints, أَنْتَقُ, is more pronouncing. So what does he mean here? He is comparing his condition with a mouth that has a tongue, right? And so he uses antaku. But what is actually here is adallu. Yani lisanu hali, the tongue of my condition. You know our condition speaks. That's why we say lisanul hal, right? So the condition of the person points you to the actual condition that she's in, or that the Sahib al-Bayt is in. So the word here is adallu. Ay falisanu hali bishikayati adallu. It's more revealing or more pointing to the fact. But he uses antaku here. So this as well is part of the al-isti'ara makniya, under the bigger umbrella of the isti'ara taba'iyya, afwan, the isti'ara taba'iyya. Jamil. And then the last categorization of the isti'ara, we have the taqsim bi'atibari dhikr al-mula'im. Now with this one, not every material would you see it in. Some materials don't bother to bring it at all, because with this, the isti'ara is complete. The categorization now is based on, after the isti'ara is complete, what did you say? So what you attach to the isti'ara, then we use it to categorize it. So sometimes the isti'ara is centered here, but there is a word before, there is a word after. Does it have anything to do with the isti'ara? Yes. Okay. Then how does it affect it? With that as well, we have isti'ara at-tarshihiyya, isti'ara at-tajridiyya, and then al-isti'ara al-mutlaqa. It's also quite simple, but we need to pay attention. Now, we have ila murashahatun, yani isti'ara murashaha. That is the al-isti'ara tarshihiyya. وهي ما ذكر فيها ملائم المشبه به. Now, when you've done the tashbih, you've mentioned the mushabbah bihi, right? Or you mentioned the mushabbah, whichever of them you choose to mention, and then afterwards you mention something that affirms the al-mushabbah bihi. We call it at-tarshihu. Look at the clear example here. أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى فما ربحت تجارتهم. They are those that bought misguidance with guidance. فما ربحت تجارتهم, and so their trade did not profit them. Now, is it really buying? When you look at it, ad-dalala and huda, yani throwing away your guidance and picking up misguidance, is it a buying? You don't purchase anything. It's not a buying. So ishtaraw here is used in place of what? Istibdal. Yani istabdalu dalalata bil huda. Or istabdalu huda bil dalala. They change their guidance with misguidance. So istibdal is what is intended here. But what is used here is ishtara. Bimana ishtaraw. So it would have been istabdalul huda bil dalala, right? Fama. Then the fama wouldn't even come in that case. But pay attention to something here. This one requires so much calmness, right? So this one here, that is the isti'ara, the musta'ar. Is it the mushabbah or the mushabbah bihi? The mushabbah bihi is what? Istabdalu. It's not used. We use ishtaraw. So ishtaraw here is the mushabbah bihi. We compare the substitution they did with trade. So ishtaraw here is the mushabbah bihi. Now, after the tashbih has been done, ishtaraw dalalata bil huda, yani comparing they giving out their guidance and taking misguidance to purchasing of a bad good with a bad goose with something good. After saying that, then he says, فَمَا رَبِحَتْ تِجَارَتُهُمْ, and their trade did not profit them or did not profit. Now, the issue of tijara goes to affirm what? The ishtaraw, the shira, the al-ishtira. So the tijara, rabihat tijaratuhum, to the trade profiting them, affirms the mushabbah bihi. Again, I tell you that I saw a lion on the mimbar. Following, I saw a lion on the mimbar roaring. Now, I saw a lion on the mimbar. Your mind gives you that, okay, he saw a lion, but he's comparing a lion to a human. So definitely, it should mention speaking, right? Then he goes to mention roaring and hunting and catching animals. It's like you are still affirming the mushabbah bihi. You are not coming back to the mushabbah. In this case, we call it at-tarshihu. So, فَالْإِشْتِرَاءُ مُسْتَعَارٌ لِلْإِسْتِبْدَالِ. The word ishtira here is borrowed for the word istibdal. وَذُكِرَ الرِّبْحُ وَالتِّجَارَةُ تَرْشِيهٌ أو وَذِكِرُ الرِّبْحِ وَالتِّجَارَةِ تَرْشِيهٌ. تَرْشِيهٌ هي بمعنى تقوية, strengthening. So mentioning profit and trade here goes to strengthen the mushabbah bihi, which is ishtara. So we call this al-isti'ara at-tarshihiyya. And then we have mujarrada, just the perfect opposite of it. وَهِيَ الَّتِي ذُكِرَ فِيهَا مُلَائِمُ الْمُشَبَّهِ. It is the one in which something that is appropriate with the mushabbah rather is mentioned. Now look again for this example. This also requires so much attention. فَذَاقَهَا اللَّهُ لِبَاسَ الْجُوعِ وَالْخَوْفِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made her taste, or made it taste, the dress, libas al-ju', the dress of hunger, wal khawf, and fear. Now bring your mind to it. Dress, libas, is it supposed to be tasted? No. Dress affects your body. You put it on your body, right? So instead of فَأَذَاقَهَا, يعني فَأَصَابَهَا, أَصَابَهَا, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the dress of hunger and fear affect it, yani its whole body. Now, what happens here is that we have used the word adhaqa, right, in place of asaba. جميل. So it says أستعير اللباس لما غشي الإنسان عند الجوع والخوف. We've borrowed the word libas, comparing the hunger, the situation of the hunger, or the condition of the one who is hungry, as if there is something on him, the uneasiness. We've compared it to a dress that affects your whole body. Because when you are hungry, it cannot be one part of your body. The whole body feels it. When you are scared, your whole body feels it. It's not just one part that is scared. Now, instead of فأصابها الله لباس الجوع والخوف, so here فأذاقها الله لباس, that is the مفعول به, right? This is the فعل, this is the فاعل, and this comes the مفعول به. So the مضاف إليه الجوع and then اسم معطوف الخوف comes as an excess, right? So instead of saying فَأَذَاقَهَا اللَّهُ لِبَاسًا, instead of saying فَأَصَابَهَا اللَّهُ لِبَاسًا, it says فَأَذَاقَهَا اللَّهُ لِبَاسًا. Allah made it taste the dress. No, dress we don't taste. But look at it. The adhaqa here is the mushabbaha, the mushabbah, right? Adhaqa here is the mushabbah. Now, having the mushabbah here, the mushabbah bihi is the asaba. So after mentioning فَأَذَاقَهَا اللَّهُ, then he mentions libas al-ju'i, a dress of hunger, wal khawf, and fear. So having borrowed the word libas to represent the condition that engulfs somebody who is in hunger and is in fear, then we use the idhaqa instead of asaba. The word idhaqa comes there to strengthen the al-mushabbah, right? We are strengthening the al-mushabbah, which is al-ju' wal-khawf. We are comparing al-ju' wal-khawf to al-libas, right? So the al-libas here is a mushabbah bihi, and then al-ju' wal-khawf is the mushabbah. So we use the verb adhaqa to make to taste, which strengthens the mushabbah bihi, which is the al-ju' and al-khawf, because it's appropriate with it. Yula'imuhu, because you can't say idhaqa has anything to do with libas, dress. Idhaqa has something to do with hunger, tasting fear. So here ذكر ما يلائم المشبه يسمى تجريد. So we call this الاستعارة التجريدية. So that is what they call مجردة or الاستعارة المجردة. جميل. And then we have the last one, which is الاستعارة المطلقة. Isti'ara where no extras are mentioned to affirm anything. أي وهي التي لم يذكر معها ملائم. Nothing is mentioned, whether it is appropriate with the mushabbah or the mushabbah bi is not mentioned. الذين ينقضون عهد الله من بعد ميثاقه. يعني there is no those who break the contract of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The jumla just comes like that. There is no mushabbah bi, there is no dhikr ma yula'im mushabbah bi or mushabbah and all that. Jameel. ولا يعتبر الترشيح والتجريد. This last categorization is only considered إلا بعد تمام الاستعارة بالقرينة. What the isti'ara jumla should be there full. Then the excess, as we explained, they determine whether the isti'ara was the tarshih or tajreed. Jameel. Now, if you want to get it very clearly, try to look at this example. رأيت أسدا يحمل حكيبة ويكتب بقلم. رأيت أسدا يحمل حكيبة ويكتب بقلم. Look at it. The ويكتب بقلم here that is mentioned, it says هل يناسب المشبه أو المشبه به. رأيت أسدا. Of course, it is a human you are describing, right? So Asad here is the mushabbah bihi. Asad is the mushabbah bihi. So the mushabbah is what? Insan. or let's say rajul. That is the mushabbah. Now, yaktubu bi qalam, is it Asad that writes or the mushabbah, which is rajul that writes? It is the mushabbah. So we call this kind of tashbih, which has this mentioned here, we call it mujarrada. Because بعد التشبيه this استعارة بعد إتمام الاستعارة ذكرنا ما يلائم المشبه. But then when وإذا قلت رأيت أسدا يحمل حكيبة يفترس أقرانه, I saw a lion holding a bag hunting his colleagues. Then the hunting his colleagues affirms rather the mushabbah bihi, which is Asad. In that case we call it tarshih, استعارة الترشيحية, لأنه يلائم المشبه به لأنه يلائم المشبه. وإذا قلت رأيت أسدا يحمل حكيبة, I saw a lion carrying a book, this is مطلقة. You didn't mention anything extra attached to the استعارة that has any other meanings to it. Jamil. So this brings us to the end of the استعارة. Inshallah, in our next lesson we are going to be looking at the al-majaz. May Allah send us there in good faith and health, inshallah. Till we meet again on our next lesson, please, if anything is confusing you, do well to clarify, and don't forget to read the sharh of Shaykh under all the lessons. Have a very good Arabic time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.